Thank you very much. You don't need to stop clapping. That was condescending. Come on. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here today. I wanted to start by talking about, there's a great documentary, how many of you have seen it, called To Hell and Back? I wanted to start with that because I was wondering what made you, what let you know that it was time to sort of tell your story that way?
I guess because of the book Unmasked that came out 10 years ago now. The response I got from that prompted us to think maybe we should do a visual version of the book, basically, and decided to do the documentary. So, and by the way, I don't know if you guys know, but since it has been 10 years, there is an anniversary edition of the book coming out with the original title, which I always wanted to call the book Kill. I don't know, it doesn't really make sense to do a life story when your title is Kill, but that kind of is my word. So you guys know it's tattooed in my mouth, it's on my license plate, it's other things that I don't want to specify because I don't need to be having people trying to call me all the time. But anyway, but yeah, there's a book coming out with it's going to be a leather-bound edition of Unmasked, but everything in the last 10 years, and those of you that have read the book or seen the documentary know the story about when I got burned. I was with one person, a photographer that has never told her side of the story. I've never even talked to her about it, but she has decided to talk to the author, Mike Eloise, and talk about that day. So I've always wanted to hear what it was like from her point of view. Never heard it. And the woman whose house that we drove to wait for the ambulance, and I went in her shower, because I knew I was badly burned, so I thought cold water was a good idea. I don't know, it just something I had heard. So I stood in her shower and waited for the ambulance to come. Mike has now talked to her as well. I didn't even remember who it was or where it was, and she actually contacted Mike to talk about how it was for her. So a lot of interesting stuff, and then everything I've done in the last 10 years. So it's a lot of new, fun stories and a lot of stuff explored that I always wanted to and never got to. So.
Wow, that's great. When do you know when that comes out?
It'll be this year, but I'm not sure of the date. Thank you.
Nobody brought me a salmon.
No. This is not Kane motherfucking Hodder. That's a joke, come on. I'm somewhat kidding. Oh, God. I don't know why you people come to see me.
For stuff like that. So when you first get the call to play Jason, did you know right away this is how I want to play him? Because your take on the character is very different than everything that had come before you. Was that something that you instinctively knew? Was it something you had given thought to before? If I were ever to play that part, this is how I would do it.
Never a forethought of playing the character because I never thought I'd be in that position, so I never considered it. But when John Beekler said he wanted me to play the character, and it was finally approved through Paramount because because that was quite a process. Because they're like, you know, we don't know who this is, and why are we using someone new? And his response was, well, you've always used someone new every movie, so that shouldn't be an issue. And he just really had confidence in me playing the character because of the character I played in a movie called Prison. Rennie Harlan directed it, and I played a character in a very similar makeup for John Beekler, and that's what prompted him to think that I would be good in the role. So once I officially had the part, then I started studying all the previous movies, which I had seen anyway, because I was a fan of the character. And so I started studying what I liked and what I didn't like about guys' previous performances. And so then I tried kind of incorporated some of that and then did my own take on it and tried to add some things to the character that I hadn't seen before, which mainly is the breathing thing that I seem to be so known for now, but it's just something I tried when I had the makeup on and I looked in the mirror and said, how can I look scarier than I already am by looking in the makeup? So I came up with the breathing and you know, the walk that people talk about. Hey, you know, they'll say, hey, can you do the Jason walk? And I'm like, well, it's kind of how I walk. So I guess that's why I look natural. I didn't have to change too much. I don't know, I've always walked like that. So that part of it, and, you know, and then having all the stunts to do, especially in part 7, was quite a challenge. And doing a fire stunt like the one I did, and all that stuff, it just, you know, I wanted to develop my own style as the character, but not ignore previous performances either. So that's basically how we came up with it. John Beekler had some ideas also, but I owe him my horror career for sure, and I wish he wasn't gone because you know, he did so much for me, and I would never have signed an autograph in the first place without him. So I'll always be indebted to John Beekler.
Yeah. Does Jason evolve from movie to movie? Do you approach the character differently from movie to movie based on what you've been through in the previous movie? Obviously something like Jason X, you're jumping way ahead into the future, but from 8 to 9, are you trying different things as Jason?
Well, you know, it's hard to keep any consistency from film to film because the look of the character changes so dramatically. Not so much between 7 and 8, but still changes. And between 8 and Jason Goes to Hell, I mean, it's completely different. So I guess I didn't really consider changing the character traits, but you have to do a little bit something different because of how different the character looks. But I still wanted people to be able to recognize, yep, that's still Kane, just by the way he moves or whatever. So that's, you know, basically how I approached it. And, you know, when I was first told, so we're doing Jason 10 now, and I hadn't seen the script yet, and they said, it's going to be Jason in space. And I said, oh, that's funny, what is it really? Jason in space. I was like, oh, well, interesting. So, the setting is going to be completely different, but if I just still make the character consistent somewhat to the previous, then I guess it'll still work. I don't know, it's just kind of an outlandish type of setting, but if Jason's still doing the same type of things, then I guess it works.
Yeah.
frozen head kill was pretty good.
Yeah.
One of my favorites.
So speaking of kills, you've talked before about what your favorite kill is, and you've been asked a million times, but is there one that was like almost there but got cut or had to be changed on the day, or a kill that you feel like, oh, we didn't quite get what I wanted?
Interesting question. I don't think I've ever been asked that. I don't know, if a kill didn't come out the way I wanted, once I see it on film, it's kind of like too late by then. So I try to avoid that happening by being aware of what I think something might look like when we shoot it. So if there's any changes that I think should be made, we do it before we actually shoot the kill. And that works, pretty well. So I don't think there's any that I was disappointed in necessarily, but there are some that I really enjoy watching myself as a horror fan, and like, that's pretty good. So, and when it came to Jason Goes to Hell, and seeing that the character was going to go into other people, for lack of a better description, I guess, if Jason becomes, other characters, I thought that it would be interesting, and I talked to some of the actors that were going to be, technically Jason. I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to, when you are playing Jason, basically, to do some kind of movement or something that is reminiscent to my performance as the character. I thought that'd be, from a viewer's point of view, I just thought that would be interesting to see, well, that's Jason, technically, doesn't look like anything like him, but he still did that move that's similar. And not one of the actors that were going to be technically Jason thought that was a good idea. I was actually told, yeah, my Jason wouldn't do that. Your Jason.
Did you tell them that you're Kane motherfucking Hodder?
I should have, but I forgot. Pretty funny. But yeah, I just thought that was a missed opportunity. But people are very protective of their characters and stuff, and they think they should have all the say. And I can't really dispute that, but I just thought it'd be an interesting thing.
I want to talk too about one of my favorite modern slasher franchises, which is the Hatchet franchise. I know that playing Thomas Crowley in those movies kind of opened up some new doors for you. Could you speak a little to that?
Yeah, when Adam Green approached me with this new character that he said would be a franchise, and I've heard that many times in the past, and when he actually came through with that, he said, I have a character, I want you to play it, big makeup, doesn't speak, and kills everybody. I said, well, that's familiar. And I said, okay, I'm happy to do it, but I'd love to do something to show that I can do other things than just be violent. And so I said, can you somehow write in a scene where I can be emotional? Because I've always wanted to show that side. And so that's when he came up with the Thomas Crowley flashback scene. And I was able to, do some emotional stuff, and it was very satisfying to be able to do that. And it opened up a lot more doors where casting people were like, wait a minute, he can do other stuff than just twist people's heads off. And so I started doing a lot more different characters, and it was, really satisfying to do that.
Do you have a favorite, I'm sure you're gonna ask this a million times, a favorite Victor Crowley kill?
Oh, yeah. Several of them are good, like Felissa Rose in Victor Crowley. She, those of you that haven't seen it, she tries to call for help on her cell phone. So I don't care for that. And I rip her arm off and put it through her body in a certain direction. And so that's a good one. But the all-time favorite Victor Crowley kill is in the first movie, Mrs. Permadio, who's trying to run away. I catch her from behind, put my hands in her mouth, and rip the top of her head off. Such a great, so well shot, and so crazy. People did not expect it. You can see, you know, the side of her face ripping apart as I pull her head apart, and it was such a complicated shot because we had one take. Because Hatchet wasn't a big budget movie, and the makeup effects guy, Robert Pendergraft, built this prosthetic head and said, we can only do this once. So, and Adam complicated it more by, as I catch the actress and start the process, there's obviously a cut before it comes back to the prosthetic head. But he said he was going to do a 360 camera move before I pulled the prosthetic head. And that's where the edit is. You don't even really see where it goes from her to the fake head. And he said, please don't pull that thing before the camera gets around to you. And so it was a little more tricky to do it at the exact right time, and it just came out great. So I think that's my favorite Victor kill.
It's an all-timer. We're gonna open it up to audience questions in just a second, but I wanted to just quickly ask, what has the experience been like hosting your own podcast?
You know, I never thought I would do a podcast, and doing it with Tiffany Shepis and Felissa Rose, who are good friends, and the three of us have a good chemistry, and we decided to try it, and it worked out really well. So we're going to continue, and you know, all of us always have new projects to talk about, and the history of, you know, stuff we've done together, and just things that have happened at conventions and stuff. So there's always all kinds of fun stories, and it's just easy, you know, when it's friends and you're just talking about fun stuff, it just doesn't seem like work at all, and we just enjoy it. It's called Casualty Friday, and if you take a look, you know, it's or take a listen, it's pretty fun.
It is fun, yeah, I really enjoyed it. All right, questions from you guys? Yeah.
When you working with a media, was it difficult working from a fake makeup head going to just now it's all going to be digital for a Friday 13th game?
Yeah, that I was very happy that they asked me to do the motion capture for Jason in the Friday the 13th video game, and because, you know, it's a totally different media, so, you know, it feels weird to be killing people while wearing spandex and sensors all over, including a little hat. And I feel like an idiot, but, you know, I get to still do the violent, fun stuff. And the process of that Friday the 13th game took 2 years to finally get all the stuff that we need, because, you know, you do a session of motion capture, then they get all the material together, look at it, make sure it's everything they want, and then they decide to do another session and keep continuing. And some people know, but most of you probably don't. I'm doing another game with gun media currently. The last session we just did, we finished Tuesday, this past Tuesday. And it's another major horror franchise. And unfortunately, I can't tell you what it is yet, but when I can, I'll be happy to talk about it. But it's definitely a franchise you know, and I am playing the killer again. So it's a lot of fun. As much as I love the Friday game, I think this one might be better because, you know, as anything happens, progress is made with you know, motion capture advances and different things happen and get better and better. So it's going to be an amazing game with I guess I probably shouldn't say that, but it'll give it away a little bit. But just keep an eye out, and as soon as I can talk about it, and we're going to be doing a big major announcement soon. But there are for the first time, the Friday game was just me and stunt people doing all the motion capture. This time we have other horror actors in the game, not playing characters they're known for, but playing other characters. So it's going to be good. I'm very excited about it.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yes.
What was Friday the 13th legal hoopla? What direction would you like to see it go in when it comes to final fruition where it's all legal?
Yeah, all the legal problems with the franchise, the Friday franchise, I don't know if it's ever going to be cleared up. And it's unfortunate because it compromises the game, because there's a lot more content that we've done for the Friday game that may never make it now. And let alone another movie ever happening. I always thought there should be at least one more film, because that would be the 13th. You know, how do you do Friday the 13th, 12, and then quit? So, I'd love for it to be resolved, but I'm not that hopeful that it will be. Yeah. So who knows, that we may have seen the end of Jason in the films. I don't know. I hope not, but even if it's not me, I'd love to come back one more time. But even if it isn't me as a fan, I'd love to see one more film.
One more quick question? Yeah.
What's a favorite item that you have that you're able to take home from a set?
Well, there are a lot of them. From every Friday movie I did, I kept the hero mask, the hockey mask, and I tried to limit how many were ever used. Like Jason Takes Manhattan, I used one mask for the entire film, and I know it's one because I kept it with me. Every time I wrapped, I put it in the camera case and took it to the hotel and brought it back every day. So I know it was the same one, and that's the one I kept. So I kept so many fun things. Besides the masks, I kept the Freddy glove I wore in Jason Goes to Hell for that one shot. I kept my Leatherface mask from doubling R.A. Mihailov in Chainsaw 3. And I kept weapons and machetes and all kinds of fun stuff. Hatchets. Yeah, I always kept it because I wanted to keep it, not because I thought, oh, this will be valuable one day. Just because I used it, I wanted to keep it, so I collected things.
All right, everybody make sure that you visit Kane at his table all weekend long. Kane Hodder, thank you so much for being here.